Hi, my name's Jeff, and I'm here with the Vitamix machine. We are going to be making all kinds of recipes for you. We want you to see how the Vitamix can be used to make hundreds of different recipes and, well, eventually become part of every recipe that you make in the kitchen very easily. Please subscribe to the channel so that you see what we are doing and you get our brand new videos right when they come out. Let's get started. Welcome. We are going to be making, well, we'll be doing two different recipes really, because one of the recipes is normally something you probably buy pre-made, but we'll make it fresh and then use it in the end recipe. We'll be making hummus in the end. First we'll actually make the tahini though. So I'll show you, we have the ingredients already prepared over here that we are going to be making. I've got some sesame seeds there, and this is just about half a cup that we'll be tossing in. Toss that right inside, and we're going to use some water. The recipe that I have is actually a Vita-mix recipe. It's for roasted red pepper hummus that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be using looks like half a cup of water for this one as well. So we'll just use the cup that I measured. It's okay if you get a little bit extra. It's not going to hurt this recipe. We'll just make it a little bit softer. Alright. Now with this one, since we're making the tahini first, I'm going to add a couple of the ingredients that I would normally be adding into the hummus recipe anyway, like the lemon and oil, any of the liquids essentially. And we'll just toss this in. Now the recipe calls for, I believe, 2.5 tablespoons. 2.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. Now I'm going to estimate that with the actual lemons. We're going to be blending this into a paste anyway. But normally at home, just squeeze this into a bowl and measure it then into your tablespoons. And of course, this recipe we will have up in the description below the video. Now it's important, if you're going to use the whole lemon here, I don't know if you can see this, but we've got some seeds there. Now those seeds, if you're going to use them, they are really good for you. So I encourage you to do it if you can. You need to blend long enough to really liquefy them though. So make sure that you're only doing it in the beginning of the recipe. If we did this later when we add the chickpeas, it would not blend nearly enough. Now I'm going to assume that that's about 1 tablespoon, and we'll cut one more slice here, that this is about, we'll start low. We'll say that that's equal to about 2.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. And if it doesn't have enough of the lemon flavor, we can always add a little bit more in later, or even just squeeze a little bit of that in when we are ready. So let's add the olive oil, this little extra virgin olive oil here. And I've already prepared it, put it in the little dish here, so we'll just pour this in. This is 2 tablespoons of olive oil there. Just let the last of that drip in. Alright, now we can add the spices at this point, or we can add them later, it's up to you. Let's try this. I'm going to throw in a little bit of our cumin. This is a great ingredient whenever you're making a hummus. Cumin is an essential part of it. It really provides a lot of the flavor for you. So use this. I'm just going to measure it right out of here just to make sure I've got enough. And this is about 1 teaspoon that we're adding in right now. Now I did crush the cumin. I used some whole cumin. If you're using already ground cumin, that's fine. Just throw it in the teaspoon there right above it and dump it in when you're ready. Alright, a little bit of black pepper as well. For this one, we are going to use half a teaspoon of black pepper. So I'm going to pull out my half teaspoon here. It's cute, isn't it? It's very nice. Not sure where you can find something like that, but I'm sure somebody knows. Now, just toss this in, half teaspoon here, like that. And again, with the spices, if you get a little extra, if you don't get enough, it's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt your recipe unless you're dumping in, you know, a tablespoon when it says a teaspoon or something like that. Then you're going to run into some problems. We'll do 1 teaspoon of salt here. If I can get it in my hand. Dump this in. Just like that. All right. And we have some garlic over here as well. We've already peeled the garlic, so we're just going to toss it in. 2 cloves for this recipe. All right. Let's see what happens. Again, you know, be confident that you will get pretty good results with the Vitamix machine when you're doing this kind of stuff. Even if you don't put the exact right amount of right amount of ingredients in your recipes, things like that, it's not a big deal. It's really easy to add a little bit of any other ingredient to change the texture, change the flavor of what you're doing. Now, it's probably a good idea to actually keep the lid on first. And we're going to use our 1 through 10 settings here. We're not using any of the automatic settings, and any Vitamix machine will do this. All of them have 1 through 10 except for the older models that are just high and low. And on this one you would just start low and then flip up to high. With the machine that we're using here, we're just going to start on a low speed, like a 1 speed. I'm going to flip it on, and then I'm going to put the tamper stick in. I'm going to get a little loud as we speed up. Just turn it up to the high speed. We can turn it down now. We're just seeing what kind of texture we have. We got a pretty good paste going on in there. Now we do have some stuff stuck to the sides because we're using the little seeds, and we're using a very small amount of it in here. So we have a few options. We could just throw the chickpeas right in and blend them. However, if you want a chunkier texture to your hummus, then you're going to want to do this. I'm just trying to show you as many options as I can, as many things as I can here. If I really want to make sure I get all of it in there, just take a spatula, scrape this off here, just like that. Toss that in. I'm going to scrape this out too, just so I make sure that I get all of those little seeds back down in there. Now, I probably should have just done it without the liquids. That might have made a paste, which would be better, and not thrown the seeds up on top here. You know, and this is a learning experience for both of us, ladies and gentlemen. That's the whole point. You know, with this series, we'll be learning how to do a lot of different things inside the Vitamix, and some stuff, you know, just outside of it too. You know, you can make so many different things with this machine, and many of them are made inside here completely. Some of them are made partially inside here and partially outside. Whatever you're doing with your Vitamix machine, you know, this is going to speed up everything else that you're doing. So it's really, really fantastic to have around the house. Now, if you want, if it's not getting enough of a paste, you can add a little bit more oil, a little bit more water, something like that. I'm going to add just a touch more water to this one because I want to make sure that I get a nice even texture here. So I'll put my tamper stick back in. I'll just start it with it on. As long as the black lid's on, you're fine with that. So just turn this back on here. Now that we've got everything back down at the bottom, turn it right up to high. Make sure it gets right in there. We can just flip that off. It all depends on what kind of texture you want. The longer you blend, the smoother it's going to be. So you see we've got a nice texture inside there, and we can essentially just add the other ingredients now. This is the red pepper hummus. There's no need to clean up yet because we will be using that again. Now for this one we want 3 cups of chickpea. So we'll just dump those in. I've already prepared those. You can, you know, soak your own chickpeas and use those, or you can get some canned chickpea if you don't have time. It's up to you. When you're getting dry chickpea, just make sure that you really let it soak all night long before you use them. And I would cook them too. You know, some people like to do the raw chickpea. It's up to you. Now we're doing a little bit of fire roasted red pepper, and the recipe calls for 6 ounces. Now this container here is actually a, let's see if it says 11.5 ounce container. So it's roughly half of what we have in here. So we'll just pull this out. I've got some of these. Ooh, they just fall apart. They're so soft. It's going to be delicious. Toss that in. So I've got one of those, and it looks like there's a really big one and then a medium-sized one in here too. So that should be just about perfect. Of course, if you really like the red pepper, fire roasted red pepper taste, you can always throw in a little bit extra. It's up to you. We do have one more in the bottom there, so I'll rip off just a little bit more of this one. And you know, can't have too much fire roasted red pepper flavor after all. It's good stuff. We'll throw that right in there. Put this back. And we'll just do a last check to make sure we've got everything inside of our recipe. We've got our roasted red pepper. We have water, olive oil, tahini that we just made, lemon juice, 2 garlic, 1 teaspoon of cumin powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon black pepper, 3 cups of canned garbanzo beans, and Vitamix actually suggests to throw in a teaspoon of hot sauce. I'm going to do it just as it is because I think it tastes delicious even without that extra processed ingredient. You know, these are all low processed ingredients here that we are doing most of the work for ourselves. So let's just turn this on. We're going to turn it back onto the 1 speed. Anything that you're pureeing like this, you're going to do either on high for a very short period of time or on a medium speed for a longer period of time. Turn this on. Just make sure either the cap is on or the tamper stick is in. And turn it off. Now you can look down through the top like I'm doing here just to see what kind of texture you're getting. And I'm doing it on a medium speed. What do we have it here? 5, 6. So that's going to give me a thicker texture. I'm going to have more of the texture of the actual chickpea. Whereas if I turn it up to high, I'm going to get a much smoother, thinner texture. So it's up to you. And you'll see, obviously, when you turn it on the low speed, it's not going to move it around because this is so thick. So when we turn it up, make sure the tamper's on. And that's really all it takes. If it's not a smooth enough texture for you, just blend it a little bit longer. Look at this. We have a beautiful texture inside there. And we already have our spatula here so that we can just stir it. Look at that. Perfect. And you can serve that right away. Now I've got a bowl over here, and I'm going to go get some crackers and try it out myself. So we will put the actual recipe, we'll type it out for you, put it in the comments section or just the info about the video section right below there. So check it out, and we'll be doing lots more videos. So subscribe, see what we come up with next. Thank you very much. See you soon.